In this week's Tablet Tip Tuesday, I'm going to introduce you to a few neat tips and tricks for sorting dimensions that have a lot of members. So what do I mean by a dimension with a lot of members? Let's look at something like state. So you see we've got 49 marks for states. And if I put sales in the view and sort, you'll see I get a nice little bar chart. But the question is, I might want to identify my top 10 or my top 15 or my top 5, and then I want everything else to sort alphabetically. So we can handle that a couple of different ways. The first way we're going to do that is to create a set. So we're going to right-click on State and choose Create Set. And I'm going to choose Use All from the General. And then on top, on the top section, I'm going to do the top N by sales. So let's call this our top 10 by sales. Hit OK, and then we have this nice set, and I can drag that onto color, and you'll see I've got a nice little split here telling me which ones are in the top 10 and which ones are not. But what I want to do is I want to be able to sort these so that my top 10 is sorted, but everything else is alphabetical. So like, for example, Arkansas, Arizona, Alabama are near the top of this list to make it easier to find the second set of states. So to do that, we need to create a calculated field. And I'm going to call this my top 10 states sort. And it's a pretty simple if statement. I'm going to say if it is in my top 10 sales, so I don't need to put a true or false here, it just implies true. So this is saying if it's in my top 10 sales, then return sales, otherwise return 0. Hit OK. And now when I put this in my view, you'll see that I really am only seeing bars for my top 10. There are bars for the other states, but they're all 0. So I'm going to drag that back out of the view. And I just need to change my sort for my states. So instead of sorting by sales, I now want to sort by my top 10 states sort. Hit OK, and there we go. I can go ahead and drag my set to the rows, and I get this nice little divider if I like. Maybe I'll go ahead and hide the header. Something like that. And now you can see I've got my nice top 10s. My top 10 is sorted, and then everything else is sorted alphabetically because they all have the value of 0. So that's nice and neat. I like that. But let's extend it a little bit farther. Let's say that we want this to be a dynamic set. We want it to basically color code the top N, or however many the user picks. So I've got a couple ways I could do this. I could edit this set, but let's just go ahead and create another one. So I'm going to create another set on state, and now I'm going to call it my top N states by sales. Again, I'm going to choose Use All, go over to top, and this time when I choose by field, instead of my top 10, I'm going to do create new parameter. And I'm going to call this my top N states. Or maybe I'll do it. These are the instructions the user sees, so I'm going to say how many states. And let's do a list from 5 to 100 and maybe make the step size every 5. Hit OK, hit OK again. And now when we show this parameter, as we move through this, it's not doing anything yet. That's because we're still using our top 10 by sales set here. So let's go ahead and duplicate this sheet. Well, let's hide this first. Let's duplicate this sheet. And or actually, let's go over here and let's just call this our top 10 states by sales. And on this new sheet, let's replace this this set here. Replace it in the rows. And this time I need to create another calculated field. Instead of my top 10 state sort, I want to do it by my top N. So I could do this a couple of different ways. I'll just go ahead and maybe do create calculated field, and I'm going to call this my top N states by sales. And I'm going to say if it's in my top N, top N states set, then give me sales. Otherwise, give me 0. Okay, top N states by sales already exists. Okay, so let's call this our top 10 states sort. There we go, top N states sort. And this time we want to sort our states by our top N states sort. Sorry, that's a lot of words. And when I show my parameter control, you can see that this moves around nice and neat. The number of bars that are colored in red changes as I adjust my parameter. Okay, so let's go ahead and uncheck the header there, and let's call this our top N states by sales. All right, so I'm not quite satisfied yet, so I'm going to do another new sheet. Go ahead and put sales on, let's put sales in the rows again. And this time I want to let the user pick the measure. So I'm going to go ahead and create a parameter, and I'm going to say pick a metric. Again, these are the instructions that the user will see in the title. I'm going to make it a string, a list, and I'm going to say sales, profit, and maybe shipping cost. Something like that. Hit OK. And now we've got to show this parameter, and when I pick something, change it, Tableau's not really doing anything because we didn't tell Tableau what to do with the parameter yet. So I'm going to right click on my parameter, choose create calculated field, and I'm going to call it my metric value. And I'll do a simple case statement here. Case pick a metric. When sales, then give me sales. When profit, then profit. Else shipping cost. End. All right, so we've got a nice little metric, a new measure here called metric value. I can put that in my columns. Go ahead and sort by that in descending order. Okay, and now you'll see as I change my parameter, my view changes. That's great. One of the things I don't like though is that my my axis title just says metric value. It just takes on the name of the measure. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And I'm going to drag my pick a metric parameter to the columns and hide the field labels. And now you'll see I have whatever value I pick in my parameter shows up as my title in my chart, or I'm sorry, the header in my bar chart. So that's a nice little trick there. Okay, so let's see. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to create another set so that we can color code these states based on the metric that they pick. All right, so let's right click on state, choose create set. And I'm just going to call this our top N by metric. Do use all. And this time I'm going to do my top 10 by the metric value. Okay, but we don't want to do the top N. Sorry. Let's edit that. Let's edit that set. And we don't want to do top N. We want to do the top based on how many states they pick, based on the parameter. So let's go ahead and show that parameter control. Again, we haven't done anything with that set yet, so I need to drag our top N by metric set onto color, and then I like to drag it again into the rows so that I get this nice little dividing line here. Let's go ahead and hide that header. And now you can see that my my list changes as I update my number of states parameter, but it also changes, the list changes as I pick my metric. So I'm using two parameters here to give my users some really nice flexibility. Okay, but this sorting isn't quite right yet because you see it's still just sorting everything in descending order. We need to do this same sorting trick that we did for the top 10 states and the top N states, you know, to sort the ones that are not in the top N alphabetically. So I need to right click on my metric and choose create calculated field, and I'm going to call this my top N sort by metric. And so what we want to do here is we want to say if they let's see, if it's let's see, we want to do the set here, the top N states, top N metric. Then we want to return the metric value, otherwise 0. So again, if it's in the top N metric, give me the metric value, otherwise give me a 0. And now I can sort my bar chart by, what do I call it here, top N sort by metric, hit OK, and you'll see everything else is sorted in alphabetical order in gray here. Really like that. This is super effective for when you want to just highlight, say, the top 10 states. In this case, I'm looking at my top 10 most profitable states. And then I want to just sort everything else alphabetically to make looking things up easier. Okay, so let's call this our top n states. And another neat way to look at this might be on a map. So let's go ahead and do a new sheet. Go ahead and let's just double click on state and make it a map. And let's put the metric value on the color. Okay, and I don't like to have a red-green color palette. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe go with a orange and blue palette. But when I do an orange, because I've chosen a two-color palette here, I like to go ahead and force my center at 0. That way I don't always get an orange and blue. I only want to see orange and blue when I'm on both sides of 0. Okay, so we've got something like that. Maybe I'll reverse this axis to make the oranges highlight. I don't know why Tableau pins like that. Okay, so now when I show, actually maybe instead of coloring by this metric, let's do it this way. Let's take our top n states and put that on the color. And let's make it a filled map. All right, so now we can easily see when I show my parameter control and show my how many states, when I change this to 15, you'll see more states get lit up. So that's kind of cool too. All right, so let's call this our top n states map. The last thing to do then would be to throw this all together on a dashboard. I'm going to just go ahead and make it maybe 800 by 600 just for simplicity. And let's go ahead and show our title. And what we're going to look at here is we're going to look at our top, and then I'm going to insert my how many states, states by, and then I'm going to insert my parameter. And I'm going to go ahead and switch to my favorite new font, which is Avenir. Hit OK. All right, and now if I go ahead and drag these two on here, so let's put the bar chart on there, and then maybe we'll put the map. Let's put the map above it. How does it look if we stick it above it? Okay, that's not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and hide the title for that one. And then I like to get rid of the borders around my map. So I'm going to go here to borders and get rid of my row and column dividers. Maybe change my font to Avenir, because that's my favorite. And change it there as well. And then when I go to my second sheet here, I want to do the same thing. Okay, and I'll go ahead and get rid of my row dividers here and my column dividers. Okay, so lastly I'm going to just hide the field label for my rows, and then maybe format this to be bold, something like that. Okay. Last thing is to remove my two little color legends here, format my parameters. Again, I'm going to switch to, I like to use a common font throughout. All right, maybe make the body 9. All right, and now you can see both of them will update based on, if I go down to 5 here, you'll see it both update here. It looks like I've lost something here, so let's go to this sheet. Because I got rid of my row dividers. So let me throw my row divider back on there. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, we end up with this really nice dashboard. I don't want to put them, I want to be able to see all of these. So let's do it like this, and maybe I'll move this above my map. There we go. So let's do something like that. All right, so now you can see I've got this nice little map. I can pick my metric. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and throw a horizontal container in here and put my two selectors inside of that to give my state a little more room to breathe. All right, so there we go. So now I can tell them to pick a metric, and you'll see my title is automatically updating as I switch my parameters. So a little long-winded there, but I hope that helps you see how you can use sets, and you can do multiple levels of sorting with a single metric, and hopefully that helps, and I'd be curious to see what else you can do with this. Have a great day.